Yeah, guys.
We'd like you to see that over there. And we're going to do a little playing as well. There were also thousands of engines on sawmills all over the brings the carriage back, moves the log over, And we go again. A little bit faster, a little bit bigger log this time. Then you'd have the occasion where the fella had a big log. I think that's enough. I emphasize once again, what you're witnessing is an outstanding performance of an infantry back in 1898. Excellent coloring. Performance way above its weight. That's the man for that job. Oh, I like to sometimes show an example where he's got that big log on there and he gets ambitious and moves the carriage too fast. He slugs her down, then he has to slow the carriage down, let it pick up again. Let's listen to that one. Those are the sounds that gets me here, and that's what it was like all over the country by the thousands. So, again, we'll read some. He got his head in there before I wouldn't have to hand left. Now they're ready. You can see the operation. Imagine how the stars in the upper half of the box are moving to the right. Everything got to go up. And those guys, swinging arms, as you see on the side, they carry the spar. just playing with it. The governor's kind of surging. Here we go. Getting up there, 8,500 and 9,000. Slipping a little, but not much. Now the engine's loaded. The tractor is slipping. Look at the cap move. It's about 6 or 8% at least. Now he's going to lose horsepower, but he's still pulling the load. Here we go, folks. Here we go. 9,500. He's going to... Oh! What'd you have that time? Now, we're going to 10,000, are we? This end of the track is a little better, so take them on back. We go to 10,000. Okay, you guys jumped the gun. I was going to pass out some sheets here. Why don't you go back? That was 10,000, was it? All right, go back. Get your steam right up to 145, and we'll go at 10.5. Well, let's try 11. 53.3. We lost a little there. Get that steam right up there. Get your RPM up there. Oh, what is it, 11,000? Or have they got their steam up? One of those flat wheels are going to spin. I'd like to know when that happens, wouldn't you?
No. Not really.
Here we go. 11,000. That's 10% over the last one. Maybe a little too much. The wheels aren't spinning though. Was that about the best pressure you're going to have, huh? Well, now that was 11,000. Now let's just do one more, Cecil, and we'll pull this one more time at 10.5 and see if we gain anything. We might have just been over the peak a little bit, right? One more time and we're through. Okay, here we go. 10.5. That's our last pull. Just to see if we gain anything. We may gain a little. I don't know. It sounds pretty heavy. Okay, it'll be interesting. Now, unhook the Huber and he can walk away and get the case back in here. I tell you what, we ought to have you guys here to roll this track for us every time.
Somebody asked me out there.
introduce yourself to us and tell us what your responsibilities are and your duties, and tell us something about the club, please?
Sure, I'm Jim Looper from Kingsley, Michigan, and I'm a trustee here among about 6 other things. We're a nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving our mechanical and industrial past through agriculture, and we have about roughly 600 to 700 families in our club. We have 200 acres out here. We put on a 4-day show each year. About 400 antique tractors, 600 plus antique gas engines, antique cars, soon to be a full-size working railroad, and many other things.
This full-size working railroad, there's gonna be rides available on that?
Next year it'll be ready for spectator stick rides on. Almost a mile of track. So.
What about our facilities here? What do we have for facilities?
We have 200 acres, campground, lots of restrooms, lots of food on the grounds, mostly service groups because we like to keep it public oriented, and the Lions Club, the Masons, St. Patrick's Church, lots of good food.
Okay. What about the daily activities, the things that go on each day, and do the same things occur each day, like the parade and so forth?
The parade is always at 3 o'clock each day. We have a full-size sawmill, bowl mill. We have a full woodworking building now that's new this year. There's an oil well pumping exhibit, large steam traction engines and large gas tractors, and steam building with large stationary steam engines.
And the sawmill is all these things are operational and they work during the day.
Right. Yep.
Stuff.
Throughout the day, we're heavy on demonstrations. We like people to see how these things work. We just don't want them sitting there. We want them actually working. So, if you never seen a thrashing exhibit, something is gone. There's nobody thrashes anymore except a few Amish people maybe. But it's a lot. It's all done by combine now. So it's practically a lost art. And if you don't see it at shows like this, you probably will never see it.
Right. What about the facilities for the handicap?
We have handicap shuttles and handicap golf carts, so you can get around and see the show. You can go just about anywhere except for certain real crowded areas. Obviously, you couldn't get a golf cart in there, but we feel we do a real good job getting people around. We have a 550 lot flea market, and it's been sold out every year since I can remember, and there's a 2-year waiting list to get in. So obviously they're doing something right out there.
Very good. All right. Anything else you'd like to tell us?
We're always the 3rd weekend in August, 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And come out and enjoy a little bit of the past with us.
Very good. Thanks a lot, Jim, for taking the time to talk to us today.
You're welcome.
you go back over on the main area, the upper area, and pull up on that level, the bundle area would drop. After they had about 5 or 6 or so, not maybe more than 7 bundles in the bundle, they would need to drop it. And the next time around the field, you drop another one, another bunch, just take one the same width, cut. And that's how it's done. That's how the binder works. One other thing I might say.
Morning.
Could you tell me who you are and a little bit about your machine, please?
Yeah, my name is Brian Gunnett. I've been a member here for 18 years. I live in Cadillac, Michigan, and this is a half scale case, 8 to 10 horse, owned by Tom Graham and Larry Wickham. We used it one summer. We buzzed wood with it. We also run a little burr mill, thrash corn with it.
Yeah. Who made this machine?
Tom Graham and Larry Wickham. It came as a kit,
And they put it assembled?
and they assembled it.
Very good. How long has it been here? How long has it been around?
Since 1971 was the year it was completed.
71. That's great. Do you drive it in the parade?
Yes, I do.
Very good. Anything else you want to tell me about this machine?
Well, I don't really know too much else about it.
It's a lot of fun though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. A lot of fun.
A lot of fun. It's a good looking machine. It looks like they did a real good job with it.
Yeah, they did. They did a real nice job putting it together.
Okay. Well, thank you a whole lot for your time this morning.
You're welcome, sir.
That's 126%. So he pulled 26% over his original rate. I'm doing it like... Any questions? Oh, by the way, we didn't pass out any sheets. What's the matter with you? Let's get some sheets out here, brother. You got some work. That sort of everything he goes. He got to the end of the season in the fall and he had 96 runs. is a Grand Haven, 16 horsepower, Orange Mark from Paris. Old Kinoka, the next one's the Case RC, 10 horsepower. Denny's Ice from Finland, first time to the show. Praise God. It is neither. 465, I don't have the number here. It's got to be written. What's the next one? That's a Ford, 561. Here it is. 52 Ford 8M. Cannon Leroy Horn from here. Carl Jones from Buckley, right down the road here. Case again. 38 Case, 23. Yeah, that's the right one. 98 equipment. That means not 1998. Beautiful thing. 31 Ford. Look at that. Bob is a gift. 30 and 31. I guess it's a 31. All right. The next one. 21 Ford. Horsepower 26. Donald Andrew.
If you would tell us, please, where this engine came from and what maybe it did for a living and maybe how old it is and what company built it. Can you give us that information?
Well, we can try. The engine is a EPLS engine, coreless engine. Originally, it was built in the 1800s. It was put in, I don't know the history exactly. I understood it was put in used in the Boyd flour mill in Grand Rapids. Ran there all of its life.
How much horsepower is it rated at?
Well, the engine is rated at 250 horse. It ran the mill, plus it had help from water wheels too, it helped run it. But it was put in there, like I say, it was put in there used, and I don't know what the history was other than that. The EPLS is the forerunner of Alice Chalmers. Alice Chalmers bought them up later on.
When did you acquire it here? When did you get it here?
That I can't tell you. I don't know exactly what year it came in here.
Okay.
I took it out of the flour mill in the 60s when they tore the mills down,
okay,
when I got it. It sat for quite a few years, and then I brought it up here and set it up.
Somebody told me you did all that work yourself as far as setting it up goes.
Well, we had a lot of help. The club members put the foundations in and set it, and then my son and I went ahead and finished it up. Did a lot of the smaller work on it. Since then, I turned around, since we got it done, I turned around and sold it to the club. They own it now.
Okay.
So it's here forever.
That's good. How much pressure is it designed to work under?
Probably right around 150 pounds to 200. Right now it's running under 100 pounds.
Yeah.
That's all we're allowed.
What other machines do we have in here inside this building? I understand we have an air compressor here.
We have a steam-driven Gardner Denver air compressor. It's got a 12 by 12 steam cylinder on it. That came out of Cadillac, out of a factory over there. It was donated to the club. And all it was for making compressed air.
What about the next machine we have here?
The next engine came off in the sawmill. I don't know, one of the islands. Kevin-Hall Islands?
Okay.
I'm not sure.
All right.
Some other people would have to tell you where that came from.
All right. What horsepower is it rated at, do you know?
I guess right around 100 horse.
Around 100 horse.
It was taken off the island by, I think, Nick Laverday, or I think he brought it over here on a boat.
I see.
Brought it in here to the club.
What about these other smaller stationary engines? What can you tell me about any of them?
You want to go around there?
All right, we'll just go around there just a second. Okay, Wes, what can you tell me about this one here?
This engine is an 8-horse horizontal. Came out of the Knapp paint factory in Buckley, Michigan. It was bought new and put in there, ran the factory for many years. And one of the first engines I ever had. It's just a little horizontal.
What about the green one just across the ropes over there?
The green engine is a Troy Ebbird. Got a 110-volt generator on it, DC. Was bought brand new by the government. It was a United States Coast Guard cutter, or Coast Guard tender.
I see.
They took care of the lighthouses or the buoys out in the lake. U.S. Lighthouse Tender Marigold was the boat it came off from. It was brand new. They never used it very much when I got it.
I see.
I bought it out of Whitehall, Michigan. It sat here every year and made the lights in here in the building for us.
Very interesting.
It is a Troy Ebbird.
What about that turbine generator over there?
The turbine generator, I don't know where that came from. It's a little 110-volt DC generator on it. Just runs off the steam.
Okay.
Either came off a boat or like a train, something like that.
Hey, can you tell me about the one just past the green one there, just past the generator, that red one?
That red one, I don't know too much about it other than that came off the island too. That was in that sawmill that the big black horizontal came from.
All right. What can you tell me about our boiler over here?
Boiler is Cleaver Brooks. It's 100 horse, fired with propane. It's a fairly late model boiler, built in the 50s. We bought it from Dean Boiler out of Grand Rapids.
Timers that wander through here and see some of this stuff, do they clue you in on some things you didn't maybe know before?
Oh yeah.
You enjoy talking to the public as they come through, right?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
That's where you learn a lot. They've been there, they've lived it,
yeah.
They understand it.
Yeah. And without them, where would we be, yeah?
Yeah, that's true.
This knee action type gizmo over here, this is the valve mechanism for the piston. Is there anything unique about that?
Well, it's unique in the sense that it's coreless, what they call a coreless valve gear. And Corliss was a person by himself that designed that snap action valving. And if you wanted to use his valve gear, you had to fly to the right, use that valve gear on the engine. So there was like Norbert Corliss, Al Chalmers Corliss, Cooper Corliss. There was a lot of versions of it.
All right.
But they all had pretty much the same valve gear on it.
Okay. You know how much all that steel weighs in that big red one?
Flywheel weighs 6 tons.
6 tons.
Yeah. The whole engine weighs right around 11 or 12 tons. The whole engine.
What RPM was that running at when it was working for a living?
Probably around 85, 90 RPMs. Not very fast.
Okay.
Flywheel's pretty big in diameter.
Yeah.
12-foot flywheel.
Come here a minute, let me hear you.
Now this governor, by the way, is good.
Pleasant. How many years you been a member, George?
8. I believe we've had the engine 4 years.
Yeah. You had it here each year?
Yep, every year.
And what brand is your engine and how many horse is it?
Minneapolis, 20 horse.
20 horse. When did you acquire this? 8 years ago, you say?
No, 4 years.
4 years ago. Did you have to do any restoration to it?
Very little, very little. The previous owner used to have it at the club here all the time also.
I see.
He took pretty good care of it. It's a pretty good engine.
Okay. How much does this engine weigh when it's full of water?
Probably 24,000, 25,000. 12 ton or so.
Yeah. Have you been on the pony brake at all with this thing?
Oh, yes, numerous times.
You do okay over there, do you?
Yeah, she does real good.
Yeah.
Real well. 20 horse engine, she puts out about 79.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay on this engine?
Yes. Yeah. You can run water through your pump and it preheats water. We can put it in with an injector or through a manual pump to preheat the water. Works out pretty nice.
Do you use this engine for anything else?
We have a sawmill we run it on.
Do you?
It goes to numerous shows around the country.
That's good. It's good to keep them alive and working.
Yeah. She stays busy.
That's good. How many of these machines like yours do you think there is around here?
There's one other one in Michigan. There's numerous ones in the United States left, but not that many Minneapolis left here.
Anything else kind of unique to this engine that you'd like to tell me about?
Oh, not to my knowledge, other than she's a good engine. It's a nice one. They're all good.
Yeah, they're all good.
They're all good.
That's true. Well, all right. We thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Sir,
Yes.
I'd like you to explain your exhibit to me, if you would, please, and how this came about here.
Yes, well, I've had the honor here to be involved in measuring these engines on their horsepower capabilities now for probably 4 or 5 years. And this exhibit is just that. We measure the horsepower on the engines or the tractors, either one, on the belt. Now this particular one does not have a power takeoff, but some of them do. But nevertheless, we have a lot of tractors involved on the belt. And the reason it's here is that various shows in the country have begun using an exhibit that measures the performance. And Larry Wickert, who's one of the board members here and very active, owns that big case engine. Some years ago called and asked about the Prony brake. We discussed it. And one thing led to another, and he and Nick Letterly and some others built it. And this is built then by the Buckley people. Excellent job. They've modified it some over the years and improved it, but it does a beautiful job now. And we last year used it at the big show in Rolag in Minnesota. And it was so successful that they have built their own now, and we're going to have another big event coming up next month. But getting back to this one, I won't go into details about the Prony brake, except that Prony is the man who designed it way back in the 1800s. And it's very accurate. There are two things that you have to have. Once you've got the design dimensionally correct and that arm length right, then you need just two more things. One is an accurate tachometer, and the fellows put on a good mechanical one and ran it at 10 to 1, which is good, because when that shaft turns 1 RPM, the tach moves 10. So that when that tach shows 2,500, I'm actually doing 250. So you see the accuracy is quite good that way. And they did that. And then they have now added and put an excellent scale on here, with 1,000-pound scale, increments of 1 pound. And we do get some very, very accurate results, both on engines and tractors. And of course, it isn't absolute that we have it to the final detail, but it's good to be accurate. And we can claim that at any time, and we know that we're far more accurate than most of the dynamometers and dealers today. You know the type I'm talking about. And I want to thank the past President Tom Graham very much for his efforts, and currently, and the president and their men for their interest and cooperation in putting this on, because obviously it's their show and they do it and I do it with their permission.
You travel around the country a lot, as I understand, doing
Yes.
a similar type of thing.
Yes, I do. I go to 5 shows, and that's just about enough. I can't seem to get to them all. You don't want to go to them all, but there are 5. The first one is in May in Oklahoma, then in Ohio, and then here, and then in Rolag, Minnesota, and back to Oklahoma for another one in September. But there are others I attend sometimes, but that's enough.
Of the engines, of the traction engines, the steam engines that you've had here today, do they measure up with the ones you find around the rest of the country? Are these fellas keeping their engines up in good shape?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. As a matter of fact, very much the same. An engine that's well restored and kept in good order, no matter where you are, they're going to be good. You always have a few that are not restored well, and that's the minority. But there are always a few. Back to this show, we just had here that big Huber owned by the gentleman you met a minute ago.
Yeah.
Very proud of it. He's owned it for 35 years. Last year, it was the first year he had it here, and the governor was very, very bad. And Tom Graham and I don't know who else, the various fellows helped him and his son. And we just finished it half an hour ago, and it is probably the second best I've ever seen.
Is that right?
And I've done over 1,000 of these over the years.
Well, that's great.
So that was a good job. And we made quite a point out of that actually to the audience too. But getting back to your question, yes, good engines, some beauties here. I would hope that as time goes on you get even more. I'd like to suggest some double cylinders. It'd be kind of nice.
Yes, it would. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. Is there anything else you need or you'd like to...
Well, you can go on and talk about this all day. We like to give out a sheet on this to the audience, and we do that. And I think that they receive us well, and I hope they do. But mainly I want to thank the officers for having us. That's me.
Well, me as one of the members and one of the audience out here that watches you, I really enjoy what you do and the accuracy of your blow-by-blow account of things and reminding us of how it was years ago.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that as just a spectator, and I thank you for the fine job you're doing.
Well, thank you very much. And if there's ever any time I overdo it a bit or go too long, be sure and tell me.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you a whole lot.
Bye.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
What's your name, sir?
I'm Gene Hartwig from down in Hadley, Michigan.
In Hadley, Michigan.
Yeah, near.
Can you tell me? Can you tell me what kind of a vehicle you have here?
We have here a 1917 Ford TT truck, a ton truck.
A 1-ton truck.
That's the first year Ford built a truck. And I bought it from Nelson Copeman, and he signed it. He bought it new in the First World War, and he signed the title over to me in 1968.
Is that right? So if you had to guess, how many miles would be on it?
They wore it out driving to the Eastern Market, hauling potatoes to the Eastern Market in Detroit.
Right? In Detroit.
It had hard rubber tires on it when I got it. Nelson claimed that it killed his brother, you know. It killed his brother. It's such a rough ride. It ruined his kidneys.
Bumped him to death.
Yeah.
What engine would that be? How many horse engine would that be?
I think it's 22 horse.
22 horse.
Yeah.
So
this pulley here, we sawed lumber with the other day.
you sawed lumber with the pulley?
With a big sawmill like the one you got here.
Right.
And but we finally got her heated up. It's too much for it.
And then the old truck heated up then. That's the first time it overheated, I bet, in a long time.
Yeah, it doesn't overheat very easy. It's very good cooling.
Yeah. That's because you don't have any pressure in it, right?
Right. The corn cob, you know, it lost its kernels. It don't have much pressure cap.
Okay. How long have you been coming to the show here with this thing?
I guess 6 years.
6 years? Do you think you'll ever make it to California with it?
We just got back.
You just got back?
Yeah.
I see.
A rough trip, though. Never do it again.
Never do it again.
We thrashed wheat with it the other day, too, with a big separator.
Is that right?
Over to Fremont, Michigan. at a show.
And you use that pulley to do it, right?
Yeah, let me turn it on for you.
All right. That ought to do the trick.
That good enough?
Yeah, that ought to do the trick. Anything else unique about this truck? I mean, it's got everything unique about it could have. What else is there?
Well, it's got an extra transmission in it. Like for a show like this, you couldn't, Ford didn't build it slow enough.
I see.
So the old man, Nelson Copeman, had put an auxiliary Muncie transmission in behind the regular one.
I see.
And you use it around here in low gear all the time. And of course, it'll climb a hill in high gear.
Uh-huh.
But I get into slow contests, and I can win every one of them. I run them both in reverse.
Right, double reverse gets
Double
you featured,
reverse
right?
gives me that's the slowest gear you can
Grandpa's
make.
gear.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really unique truck you have there. Next time you go to California, you might need to get new tires, huh?
Well, we bought these new in Sears.
Sears, huh?
But they're, you know, the first 20 years on them's the worst.
First one is the worst.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
Yourself, please. Your name is?
Wilbur Volkening.
Wilbur?
And Charlie Volkening.
Charlie. Can you tell me a little bit about this steam engine? Let's say, what brand is it?
It's a 1898 Huber, 16 horse. It's one of the oldest around that we've been able to find out that's still in working condition.
Great, great. And this is the one that was behind the Tippy Dam taking a bath for 41 years, is that correct?
That's correct. It was 1918 when the dam was flooded. It was abandoned and left until, let's see, from 1918 until 41. And then they did some work on the dam, and they went ahead and winched her out, busted it up pretty good getting it out. The fella held on to it for a couple of years, I believe, and then it was traded into Cole Brothers in Traverse City, where they put it underneath their sign. And then Tom Graham bought it, I believe, in '69, and took it home and started to take it apart and find out what he needed, and started a lot of parts missing, and he tracked down a lot of the parts, and in '93 we bought it from him and worked every day on it for 51 weeks and was here for the show for the first time last year.
Right. And I remember you telling me that you had to make quite a few more parts for it yourself before you could get it going, all right?
That's correct. A lot of the parts were missing, and the boiler was shot. This is a different boiler that we had to install on it.
Now, you had to machine some parts. I understand that, was it the drivetrain or something that was messed up?
Every single part on it's been remachined, and a lot of the bracketing is homemade, and we had to rebuild it.
So you had probably more restoration in this one, involved in this one, than any of them so far that any of the fellows I've talked to so far. You've got a whole lot of labor in this one.
I haven't heard of another one being done quite like this. You hear a lot of them that where fellas take 6-8 engines to build one, but not the restoration that went into this.
Yeah.
Might add, we'd never do it again either.
How long you fellas been members of the club?
Oh, it's been several years.
Yeah. And where do you live?
In Gaylord.
In Gaylord.
Yeah.
Okay. How many of these engines did the manufacturer actually build during that year? Do you know how many were built of this size?
I really don't know. The total production of Huber, I believe, is around 14,000. They were second only to Case.
And this is the only one you know of this size, is that correct, in this area?
Of this vintage, and because it is, if you see other pictures of it, it is the flywheels on the left-hand side, or commonly referred to as a right-hand engine. That's pre-1900. And we have another portable at home, just like this, not a traction engine, but a portable that hopefully will be here next year.
Great, great. Well, let's see. Anything else you want to tell me about this this engine you got here? Let me ask you this: have you been on the pony break?
not yet this year. We were on the mill, I believe it was on Thursday we were on the mill.
Yeah.
And several other shows this year we've been on the mill thrashing with it.
Okay. So you hope to get on the break today, do you?
Yeah, later on today.
That'd be great. Everything is running and operating correctly, is it?
Yeah, it's getting real close to being right.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, this club is quite a club. Everybody I've talked to has had nothing but good things to say about this club, and I'm sure you fellows feel the same. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe it's probably one of the friendliest shows you'll ever find around.
Yeah.
Try to answer questions for everybody and try to help them out if we can.
Yeah, well, that's great. I've noticed, like last year, the camaraderie between the members helping one another out when somebody's in a jam and got a breakdown or whatever has just been fantastic.
Oh yeah, all pitch in and help each other. That's the only way it can work.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I thank you very much for your time. I know that you got a lot of things to do and you got work to do, and I thank you for taking this time out to talk to us. Thank you. Now maybe you guys on the outside just walk together there to the middle.
Yeah.
Stay right there. Morning, fellas. I'm with the club here, a member of the club, and I know you fellows are members, and I'd like you to give me a few details about this engine you've got here. Hang on a sec. And where are you from, Walt?
I live in West Branch.
All right. And your name?
Steve Lowry. Live in Buckley. In Buckley.
Gentlemen, could you tell me what brand of engine this is?
This is a Superior.
How about the horsepower?
It's rated at 50 horsepower. It runs about 150 RPMs.
Okay, where was this engine made?
We think this engine was made somewhere in Ohio, but it's possible it was made in West Virginia. It was made specifically for the National Supply Company to be used in oil field operations.
All right. How did we acquire this machine?
It was picked up, club picked it up down in Oil City, Michigan, down by Mount Pleasant, where the engine and the wheel come from together.
What was it used for there?
It was pumping oil in the oil fields.
Okay, were you part of the crew that got it back up here?
No, it was before my time.
Before your time. How about you? Were you part of the crew and got it up here?
No, I came along after it was already here, and my job was to help get the thing organized and started and hooked up so it would run and operate like it is today.
All right, that's very good. So how long have we had it operating here at the club?
3 years. It's been in operation like it is now.
3 years, okay. The public get quite a kick out of coming in and watch this thing run?
Well, they like to see it started. They like to see it run and operate, although we haven't got it all hooked up. There's more pieces to be hooked up yet. We want to hook up a couple of wells so they can see the whole operation.
All right, very good. When do we expect to have that done?
Well, we're going to work on it either after the show this year and then some during the spring. By next year, we at least have one well in operation and maybe a couple.
Very good, very good. That's good news. Anything else you could tell me about this operation here?
Well, I know from talking to folks that were familiar with the engine that a guy used to run it all the time, ran it every day. Then he got incapacitated in some form or fashion, and his wife would go out and start it for him. And she would run the engine. She wasn't a very large lady, but she did a great job, and she kept the thing in operation, kept the production going, and the guy kept his job.
Isn't that amazing? Very good. Well, thank you for your... something else?
Make sure you take a little picture of the model up there that shows how the whole setup works in the oil field.
Okay, all right, I'll do that.
Bryson Sprandel.
Hey, Bryson, tell me a little bit about what you do here.
It's just stamping the Buckley emblem on shingles, veneer, what have you.
And do you sell these or you give these to the public?
Give these to the public.
That's great. How long have we been doing this here?
This is my first year, but AJ was the one that used to do it for about 20-some years.
He was a member?
Yes, he was. And I think he still is.
Still is. What's AJ's last name?
I don't know.
Okay. But the work got a little too much for AJ, did it?
Yeah, he got too old and he had to quit.
Well, that's good that you stepped in to take over.
Thank you.
You want to last quite a few years at this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Does this keep you busy all day?
Yup, constantly.
Very good. Well, thank you for giving us some time.
Yup.
Could you introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your display here?
Well, I'm Pete Black, and I've got a few old engines. I got one over there in the corner that's featured this year, the old engine. I got a water faucet here that brings water up and runs without any plumbing. I started this hobby back about 35, 40 years ago, and everything seemed to be going pretty respectable.
That one rare engine you have, tell us about that, the Brownwell?
That Brownwell is the one that's a Holland Brownwell, and they are quite scarce. That's about all I got to say on that one.
Okay, what about your membership here?
Well, I've been a member about ever since it started. Well, they had a couple years before I joined, but out on 115, they had one show out there, and then one here, and then I joined.
Okay. What other kinds of engines do you have here?
I got an engine that was bought in Reed City in 1910. It's a famous 2-horse upright. You get a picture of it. It's real good engine, real dependable engine. I've got an idea on the corner here, right on this corner, 1911. The principal stockholder idea at that time was R.E. Olds. And I got a monitor that I picked up in Texas, right on this corner, pumping water. I don't believe I got too much more to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Bud Kaiser.
Bud, where do you live?
Lower Michigan.
Lower Michigan, okay. Tell me what you have here for an engine.
I have one.
It's an auto?
It's an auto.
Auto, that's just auto. I guess that's all Auto had to do to put his name on it, right?
Yes, he put his name on it.
Okay, is this one of Auto's original engines? As near as you can tell?
As I can tell.
Uh-huh. And so do you know what year it was built?
I do.
What year was that?
I think 1896.
1896. Wow. And where did you get this from?
Lovell's.
Lovell. What were they using it for when you got it? Or was it setting idle?
Setting idle.
Setting idle. Uh-huh. And how long did it take you to restore it?
2 years.
2 years.
More or less.
Yeah. So, what all did you have to do to it? Take it all apart and clean it up?
Took it all apart and cleaned it up.
Yeah. I suppose you had to make a new radiator there for it?
I did.
Yeah, that looks new. Did you have to handcraft any of the other parts that are on it that were maybe beyond repair?
Not necessarily.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's great. And how long you been bringing it here to the club?
Oh, 20 years or so.
20 years. And how old are you?
80. Excuse me.
'78. 78, is that it? Okay, 78. Well, that's good. That engine's older than you are then.
Yes, it is.
Well, that's really a unique engine you have there. That's probably one of a kind, then, isn't it?
It is.
Do you know of any other autos that are operating?
Oh, I don't.
Okay. Henry Ford probably doesn't have one of them himself, does he?
He has 2 or 3 of them in the museum.
Yeah, but they don't run. They don't get warm, do they? Well, that's great. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us this morning.
Say it again, please.
Terry Freeze. Terry.
Okay. Where are you from?
Well, I live at Netson City, and that's just Thompsonville Road, about 9 miles west of here.
Yeah. When and where did you acquire your exhibit?
This came from near Toledo, Ohio, in about 1973 when we restored it. It was just sitting sinking down in the dirt on a farm down there near Toledo. It's been completely rebuilt.
And what's the brand of this exhibit?
Russell.
Oh, Russell.
20-horse Russell.
How old is it? When was it built?
1916. So, 75 years old. Yeah,
all right.
75 years.
How rare is this exhibit?
There isn't hardly any. It's quite rare up in this country. There's not hardly many Russells in this part of northern Michigan. There's quite a few in southern Michigan.
Okay. How long you been a member of the club?
Oh, just about 27 years. Ever since the first year it started.
Very good. Okay, thank you a whole lot. We're going to get some shots of your machine now.
Okay.
All right.
From Wademan, Michigan, down by Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
It's a 1919 brick. It's the 50 horsepower on the belt. And I've been a member here for 5 years, I think it is, 5 or 6 years.
How rare is your machine?
Well, there's several of them around. Out east are quite popular. You don't see too many of them west of the Mississippi.
Okay. Is there any unique feature that you have on this machine that maybe some of the other ones don't have?
Now the boiler is built into a frame, for one thing. One thing is the belt either direction, or the front or the back, onto a brick. This one isn't set up that way. It will be to get done. Okay. Right now you just go over the front.
All right. Anything else you'd like to tell me about it?
We bought it in Kansas City and trucked it home.
You did all the work on it yourself as far as the restoration?
Done all the work on restoring it ourselves.
Okay. Were there any parts that you had to hand make or hand machine?
No, everything was in good shape on it, really. Very little rebuilding of it.
Very good, sir. Thanks a lot.
Yep, you bet.
Okay, what's your name again?
Basil Moore.
Basil Moore.
M-O-R-E-D.
Okay. And where do you live, Basil?
I live in over by Lake City.
Yeah.
On Dixon Road over there.
How long have you been a member of the club?
One of the starters of it.
One of the starters. That's great.
And that was 28 years ago.
Yeah.
I've missed one meeting, I guess, in 28 years.
You're doing pretty good. I haven't done near that good. I've only been a member 2 years.
I'm 84 now.
Is that right? 84?
I'd be 85. It would have been 86, but I was sick a year.
How much for your time?
Well, it ain't worth anything to me anymore. Time ain't.
Well, thanks a lot. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's your name?
Frank Holshoe.
Frank, okay. Frank, what brand of machine you have here?
This is a Huber traction engine, made in 1921.
Okay.
And it's a return flue type. That's why the smokes, you see the smokestack in the back.
And can you tell me how long you've been a member?
Been a member for approximately 10 years.
10 years as a member, okay. When did you acquire this machine?
About 8-9 years ago. This machine came out of the Thumb area of Michigan. A man by the name of Bill Hess owned it. And when he died, Terry Freeze, who was also a club member here, purchased the machine. And Terry restored it, portions of it. And the Huber was in very good shape when he bought it. And he did most of the deck work on the back and a number of other things that I'm not sure at all. And then Ken Bellew and myself purchased it from Terry 8-9 years ago, something like that. And since then we've been through most of the machine, put new piston rings in it. We've had the compensating gear apart, we did that. So that we've got a tremendous amount of work into it, but it was in good shape when we purchased it. Terry has done a good job.
How long have you been a member of the club?
10, 11 years, something like that.
Okay. What's the horsepower on this?
22 horse.
22 horse. I think you already said that. I'm sorry I missed it.
And,
all that noise there with one of those conventional machines, you know.
Well, that's a gas tractor.
Yeah.
Pounding away back there, and they're not going to last just a fad. Steam will.
Anything else you want to tell me about your machine?
You asked the questions.
Well, I see you can't run it in the parade because you've got the steel lugs on there, huh?
Well, we can run in the parade here. We don't have paved roads, but through a city street, you'd have a little trouble if you tried to.
Yeah. Okay, well, I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning.
What's your name?
Larry Wickern.
Larry, what type of machine do you have here?
This is a 1914 case, 80 horse, and it was built in 14, and then it was used up until around wartime, and then they tore it down and sold some of the scrap, some of the wheels, and the wheels were sold off of it, and they used it in a shingle mill up in the Upper Peninsula for quite a few years. And when they got done using it as power for a shingle mill, they took it out and threw it out behind the sawmill, and it laid there for quite a few years, and till we located it and started hunting for parts, put it back together again. So,
how much trouble did you have getting the parts?
Well, it took 7-8 years to get stuff all, collected to get another one put back together 100%, and finally we went all over the Midwest, really, Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Upper Peninsula, and lower part of the state, and finally got enough stuff to get her together.
So when did you first run it then again?
83.
In 83.
83 was the first year it got put back together.
How many machines like this are there around?
The 80 case, there's not that many of them. There's probably only a few in the state of Michigan. There's a lot of them all over the country. Then there's one size larger than this, the 110 case. And there's several of those in Michigan too. But I think there's only probably 3 or 4 of them in Michigan. And there's several 110s left that are this next size larger.
How much does this thing weigh loaded?
It's 15.5 ton loaded.
15.5.
Water.
Okay. And did you tell me the horsepower of it?
Yeah, it's 80 horse on the belt, 28 drawbar.
Okay.
After it uses up the power to pull its own weight, there's only 28 horsepower left to pull a plow or whatever you're going to do. So
Right.
that's how it's rated, belt horse.
How long you been a member of the club?
I joined about 26 years now, I guess. 26 the club is 27 years old, and I've been here. I joined the year after it started.
Okay, very good. Very good. Is there any unique features about your machine that we would like to know about?
Oh gosh, maybe only that it's been put together from parts, and that it's pretty basic. Other than that, for case, it's all original. And
so you didn't have to machine or make any parts?
Well, we had to make some of the parts that was missing yet, but mostly, you know, brackets and braces, and had to relocate some of the things that were missing. But other than that, it's pretty much the way it was built when it was new.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to tell me about your machine?
I guess not. That's probably pretty much, yeah.
All right. When you get her up, steamed up, we'll get some pictures of the workings of your machine.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Larry.
Yep. Thank you.
Name?
Levi Sue.
Oh, that's why they call you Sam, huh? All right.
Maybe they better have Sam, huh? That's my nickname.
I see. Sam, can you tell me a little bit about your sawmill here and your membership? How long you've been a member, and tell me a little bit about the club?
Well, I'm one of the first members. I went to the first meeting. And this sawmill, I just built it up from scratch. Brought it over there to Calvin. It was all a pile.
Is that right?
I've added to it. Bought this steamer and boiler over to Harrison. Took all that in there. Bought this diesel down at the Hope-Pile Dam. Hardy Dam. And I got that fixed. So we run into one of them. And we can take put steamers on or whatever they want to do. If they want to try their engine, I put her on.
How many horsepower does this engine, the steam engine behind you, develop?
The tag is gone off, but I'd say it's about 125 horse.
About 125?
Yeah.
How long of a log can you handle on your sawmill?
Oh, I can saw 20 feet.
20-footer?
Yeah. Yeah, no trouble there.
You're one of the founding members of the club, I understand, right?
Yeah. 86.
86?
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Well, not too bad. I've had pneumonia ever since April. I can't get rid of it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell me about your mill here?
Well, not exactly. I have a nice crew here. They do darn good. I don't have much bother with them.
That's right.
Yeah.
A fine group of fellas, aren't they?
Yeah. Nice group. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, I've added to it every. This is about the only year I added something to it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, we thank you very much for your time, Sam.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Morning. I'm Leonard Klaus from the Engine Club at Buckley.
And can you tell me a little bit about your machine here?
This machine is a Peerless steam engine that came out of Henry Ford Museum. And when I got the literature back from them, they said that President Harding's father used to own this engine.
What's the name brand on the engine?
This is a Peerless.
Now, when was it manufactured?
About the turn of the century. I don't know the exact date of it.
What's the horsepower
It's supposed
rated?
to be about 6 horsepower.
6 horse.
Yeah, but then today it would be rated as about 12.
Okay. Do you know anything about what it was used for when it was bought?
Well, the only thing I know that it must have been used for buzzing wood or something, because when President Harding and Henry Ford went to Maryland on vacation, they found this engine in the woods, and I take it they might have been buzzing wood or something with it. I don't know.
I see. How long have you been a member of the club?
Since it started. In fact, I guess I was the instigator to start it.
I suspected that. That's why I asked.
Oh. Well, I had a lot of good help, though, to get it going. There was quite a few. At least the first time we had 14 members to start with, and Carl Kreiser was quite a go-getter to help.
Who else was in that original membership that you can remember?
Well, it was Gassman, Mr. Gassman, Mr. Brownson, and Mr. Zoo, Morris Hewlett, Carl Kreiser. It's just hard for me to recollect right now. That's been 29 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's only a few of us left.
They're a great group of fellas, though.
Oh, man. I think right now we had about 15 when we started. Now we got, I heard him say last night, 1,200 members, counting husbands and wives.
Right, right. Okay, anything else you can tell me about this machine? Maybe how much does it weigh when it's full of water?
It weighs about 3 ton when it's full of water.
3 ton. Do you know how many of these there might be in existence yet?
Well, they sold about 5 of them down there at the museum when I bought this, but they were all different. But they were pull type with horses. But that's the most I've seen in one spot. I don't know why they'd even sell something like this out of the museum, you know. But they did.
We're glad they did.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Anything else you wanna mention?
Not too much, only that we sure do have a go-getter bunch of club members here. I tell you, they're good members. They're good workers, and you can see when you have a show, they're all out here doing something.
Yeah, that's great.
We appreciate that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you.
You want to introduce yourself to the camera here, please?
Well, I'm Jerry Meredith, son of Morris Meredith, the owner of this steam engine.
Okay. Can you tell me when and where it was acquired?
Well, it was bought up in Central Lake, Michigan, back about 1960. Dad bought it from an old man named Ralph Watkins. He bought it brand new down at Marion, Ohio. Had it in a sawmill up there for quite a number of years. Until we bought it, that's about all it had ever done, was saw lumber.
Where was that sawmill located exactly?
Central Lake, Michigan.
Central Lake, okay. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but tell me some more about this machine, the name and when it was built.
Well, it's a 1924 Huber. It's a 25 horse. It was built in Marion, Ohio. It's a return flue engine. A little different than some of the other engines around here. The fire goes down through a main tube down through the center, and then comes back through small tubes and then up the stack, which makes it a little different than a lot of the other engines.
Okay. How many, what's its rated horsepower?
25 horse.
25 horse. How much does this machine weigh when it's loaded?
About 15 tons.
Were there any parts that you had to handcraft during the restoration of this machine?
Well, when Dad bought it, there was basically about what you'd say 4 wheels and a boiler. The engine was on it, but the platform was off, the bunkers and the toolboxes were all gone. There was no roof on it. All the piping was gone. No smokestack. She was pretty naked looking. The front tank was off in it. The clutches he had to make for it, they were all rotted off. And of course all the piping had to be put on. So there was quite a job in restoring it, getting it fixed back up.
Is there any other unique features about this machine we should know about? For instance, I see a lot of whistles. Is there a story behind any of those whistles?
Well, Dad's quite a collector of whistles, and he enjoys collecting them, and just about everyone he's got a hold of, it seems like, winds up on the engine. We do have quite a few of them. We've got one on there that's a little unusual. It's called a mockingbird whistle. The tone will fluctuate. You have 2 ropes instead of 1, and you can blow the whistle and then fluctuate the tone in it, which is rather different. There's some boat whistles and railroad whistles on it.
Well, this is quite a unique machine. Is everything operational on it?
Oh, yeah. It all works pretty good. We took the lugs off in it when we got it so that we could take it around the fairs and so forth. With the lugs, why, she would drive a lot more and pull a lot more, but we're out on the road, well, you can't use them, and so we took them all off.
Well, all right, sir. Well, we thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Larry.
How are you? That's your
Can you tell me your whole name, please, and where you're from?
My name is Tom Graham, and I'm from East Jordan, Michigan.
Okay.
This is my steam engine. It's a 19 horsepower on the drawbar, 60 horsepower on the belt. It's an A.D. Baker. It was made in 1922 down in Swanton, Ohio.
When did you acquire it?
I and my dad got this engine back in 1969. And it so happened it was the same engine that he run as a young man when it was brand new back in the engine was actually sold in 1924, and he ran it in 1924. And the thing come up missing for probably 40 years and was refound back in 69 by him. And we purchased it then.
What needed to be done to it then when he discovered it again to get it back in ship shape?
Well, it had never had a major restoration. A lot of the bearings, rings, shafting had to be replaced. And then here 4 years ago, we had to do some major boiler work on it again. This is one of the only engines that's got a new barrel on it. It's got a new welded barrel on the front here. And it's like many of these, they're getting old. Some of them as many as 100 years old. 100 years of deterioration. Was catching up with a few of them, and this is one that it did, and we had to repair it.
How much does this machine weigh when it's loaded?
This one is one of the smaller ones. It weighs, we weighed it one time, full water, and it weighed 18,300 pounds. Ready to go down the road.
Ready to go.
Bunkers full and the boiler full.
Do you run it very much other than here at the show?
We have a couple other fairly major events that we take it to. One is the Walloon Lake Flywheelers in July up in Walloon Lake, Michigan, and then we take it to the Boyne Falls Polish Festival, which is a week later. Those are a couple of fairly major events, similar to Buckley, where it runs 3 or 4 days. But outside of that, it's just a couple parades, 4th of July parade, occasionally fire up the flag.
How long have you been a member of the club?
We joined the club the second year it was in existence. So how long has that been?
27 to 28 years, depending on who you talk to.
Yeah, 20. We've been here a good 26. We know that.
Okay. All right.
We'd have been there the first year had we known anything about it.
All right. Is there anything else unique about this machine that it drives on the same side as most and things like that? Is it?
Yeah, this is the standard production right-hand engine that's got the steering wheel behind the flywheel, so you can see to put at the bell. The thing unique about it is it's a Baker, and Baker had a patented valve gear that they used on many steam locomotives. And this engine here went one step further in that it's the Uniflow cylinder. It's got a ported cylinder. It's got a little bit different type of engine than the other steamers here in the grounds, as well as a locomotive valve gear. So.
Does that make it more efficient? Is that the idea?
Supposedly, yes. Back when it was built, Baker was one of the more efficient engines. And we've done some efficiency testing on the pony brake over here, and it fared pretty well. I don't know how to compare it to anything else, but it looked pretty well.
How many engines are there of this type around, do you know?
The Bakers, the 80 Bakers? Don't know. There's probably 5 or 6 in the state of Michigan.
I see.
That might be a little heavy. 3 to 4 in the state of Michigan.
All right.
So in existence, 30 or 40. Not sure.
Okay. It's a really unique club that you have here. A lot of real friendly fellows that work a lot together, that help each other out, and it's been a pleasure so far for me to just be here and tape you fellas. Do you want to make any comment about this club yourself, how you feel about it?
Well, no, but it's a club. You can tell by the attendance that we have that it's a club that people enjoy. We've got something for everyone. We've got a flea market for your wife. We've got arts and crafts. We've got all kinds of equipment. We don't just have tractors, just have steam engines, just have oil field engines. We seem to have a little bit of everything. Now we've got a locomotive here that's just about ready to go in the ground, giving train rides. So,
do you expect that this locomotive is going to be ready for next year's?
Yes, it was very, very close to being ready this year, but we just couldn't quite put it all together in the last week.
Okay.
We decided for safety purposes we should back away for a week, and we did that. So. Can't imagine not running next year with the small amount of work we've got.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Tom, for your time.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning.
What's your name, sir?
I'm Bob Hartwig.
All right, Bob. Tell me, how long you been a member with the club?
About 25 years.
25 years.
I guess.
That's great. What are you working on here?
I think it might be a bear. I'm not sure.
It should be a bear when you're done, right?
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're aiming in that direction. I have a sample over there, a small one, that I made a while ago, and I'm copying it a little bit. Probably won't be too good.
You make it a little bigger, huh?
Well, a little bit, just a wee bit bigger. I couldn't control the size.
I see. How long have you been doing this as a hobby?
Oh, 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah. I'm supposed to be an engine collector.
Yeah.
And sawmill and so forth, you know, all junk like they have out here. But then I had an operation, I had to sit for a while. Ma got me a stick of wood and jackknife. It's in there yet.
Yeah.
And I started whittling, and like a disease, I can't stop it.
Can't stop it.